Salvete discipuli. We're going to start looking at chapter 3 today, and we're going to look at second declension nouns. Second declension nouns follow the same rules as the first declension nouns did, base plus endings. Second declension nouns can be either masculine or neuter in gender. In chapter 3, we'll just take a look at the masculine ones, and we'll look at the neuter ones in a later chapter. Most second declension nouns end in us in the nominative singular. A few, as we'll see, end in er. So there will be some new endings to memorize. So let's look at the second declension masculine endings. Nominative singular, us. Genitive singular is I. Dative singular is o. Accusative singular, Ablative singular is a long o. And vocative is an e. We go to the plural. Nominative plural is I. Genitive plural, ORUM. Dative plural, IS. Accusative plural, OS. Ablative plural, IS. And vocative plural, I. So we'll do the same thing, base plus endings. So we'll find the base by dropping the ending again from the genitive. So to this base, we'll add our new endings. So our example noun in this chapter is amicus, amici, which means friend. So we go to the genitive, drop the I, and we're left with amic as our base. So let's go through our chart. Nominative singular, amicus, friend. Genitive singular, amici, of the friend. Dative singular, amico, to or for the friend. Accusative singular, amicum, the friend. Ablative singular, amico, by, with, or from the friend. And then vocative singular, amicae, o friend. In the plural, nominative plural, amici, friends. Genitive plural, amicorum, of the friends. Dative plural, amicis, to or for the friends. Accusative plural, amicos, the friends. Ablative plural, amicis, by, with, or from the friends. And then vocative plural, amici, o friends. So some second declension nouns end in er in the nominative. So the endings will be slightly different. Nominative singular, we consider there not to be a case ending for er, second declension masculines. Genitive singular is I, dative singular o, accusative singular ablative singular o, and then vocative, again we consider there not to be an ending. Look to the plurals, nominative singular, again I, genitive plural, orum, dative plural is, accusative os, ablative plural is, and vocative plural is I. So very similar to the ones we learned for the US, second declension masculines. So let's take a look at some more examples. So here's a second declension masculine that ends in er, and here's a good example why we drop the ending from the genitive instead of the nominative. What we need to see in this case is whether the e stays in the base or whether it disappears. So one of the examples from the book is puer, pueri, which means boy. So the base in this case, by dropping the I from the genitive, we get puer. So nominative singular, puer, boy. Genitive singular, pueri, of the boy. Dative singular, puero, to or from the boy. Accusative singular, puerum, the boy. Ablative singular, puero, by, with, or from the boy. And vocative singular, puer, oh boy. We go to the plural. Nominative plural, pueri, the boys. Genitive plural, puerorum, of the boys. Dative plural, pueris, to or from the boys. Accusative plural, pueros, the boys. Ablative plural, pueris, by, with, or from the boys. And then vocative plural, pueri, oh boys. So in our last example, the e did stay in the base. Here's an example where the e does not stay in the base. Ager, agri, which means field. So we go to the genitive, drop the I, and we get the base of agr, ager. So nominative singular, ager, field. Genitive singular, agri, of the field. Dative singular, agro, to or for the field. Accusative singular, agrum, the field. Ablative singular, agro, by, with, or from the field. And then vocative singular, ager, o field. And again, vocative in that case has the same form as the nominative. we go to the plural, agri, the fields. Genitive plural, agrorum, of the fields. Dative plural, agris, to or for the fields. Accusative plural, agros, the fields. Ablative plural, agris, by, with, or from the fields. And then vocative plural, agri, o fields. Second declension adjectives. So a second declension adjective has the same endings as second declension US nouns. Remember, adjectives always agree with the nouns they modify in number, gender, and case. So now we can go back and add masculine endings to the adjectives that we learned in the previous chapter. So now we know how to form a feminine adjective with first declension endings, and we can form masculine adjectives with these second declension masculine endings. A brief note on the vocative. With very few exceptions, the vocative is always the same as the nominative. In second declension nouns that end in US in the nominative, the vocative ends in just E. So our example, amicus, amicae. In all other cases, the vocative and the nominative are identical. Nouns that end in IUS are another special case, and the adjective meus. They all have a vocative singular in a single I. So there's an easy way to remember this. There's the Latin phrase, my good son, which in Latin would be meus bonus filius in the nominative. In the vocative, we would get mi bone fili. So just an easy shorthand way to remember the exceptions to the vocative rule. So in all other cases, vocative is the same as the nominative. In this chapter, we're also introduced to the concept of apposition. An appositive is a word or phrase that gives more information about the noun. An appositive always agrees in case, usually in number, and often in gender. So our example sentence, Gaium filium meum in agro video. So translated into English, I see Gaius, my son, in the field. So here, filium meum is our appositive. It tells us a little bit more about Gaius. So it's not just some random Gaius off the street, but a specific Gaius, Gaius, my son. So appositives just tell us a little bit more about the noun that they modify. So in this chapter, we learned a little bit more about nouns. We learned the masculine second declension. We also learned that there are masculine endings for the adjectives that we have already learned in previous chapters. As we get into the next chapter, we will learn the neuter forms for second declension, and we will be able to fill out all three genders for our adjectives. So until we meet again, volete.